Hello everyone, and welcome to Earth Archives. Today we're going to talk about a topic that might make you a little uneasy, but it's extremely important. If someone deliberately hurts you, do they really hate you? Are they consciously planning to hurt you? Have you ever experienced this? Someone speaks softly to you, but their actions feel like a knife cutting through your heart? Today, we'll explore Carl Jung's insights on this issue. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with anyone who might need to see this.
Yes, this question isn't just psychological theory. It's about how we understand human nature, especially its darker side. Jung studied the human shadow, and he discovered something shocking. Some people truly make choices deep in their psyche to hurt others. This isn't just bad temper or a one-off incident. It's a structured psychological operation. When the shadow personality activates, the dark part of their mind plans strategically to harm you. This destruction is intentional and systematic.
Wow, that sounds terrifying. Does this mean that people I thought were just bad-tempered might have already decided to hurt me?
Basically, yes. Jung calls this psychological phenomenon contempt. It's an extreme mental state where someone has internally already diminished you. You are no longer seen as a whole person, but as a target to be punished or manipulated. What's even more frightening is that the shadow doesn't act blindly. It first constructs a psychological framework to justify cruelty. They deserved it, or it's their own fault. This internal defense prepares them mentally before acting. So the harm isn't impulsive, it's calculated.
So, if I've been thinking I'm too sensitive or misunderstood things, I might have been wrong all along?
Exactly. This is Jung's warning. It's not your fault. And it's not a sign of weakness. The truly dangerous thing is that the shadow wears masks. It can seem friendly, caring, or even smile at you, but actions reveal true intent. Words can lie, but behavior cannot. These people erode your sense of self step by step, through passive aggression, coldness, silence, or subtle distortions of reality, until you start doubting yourself.
Does this mean the people closest to you might actually be the most dangerous?
Yes. Jung notes that the most precise harm often comes from those who know you best, because they understand your fears, values, and dreams. They aim at the most vulnerable, core parts of your psyche. For example, if you value honesty, they might lie to deceive you. If loyalty is important to you, they might betray you. If trust matters, they might systematically undermine it. Jung calls this phenomenon privilege as destruction. The shadow weaponizes the knowledge it has of you.
Oh my, so what can I do? Am I just supposed to keep getting hurt?
No, you are far more powerful than you think. Jung tells us the most powerful response isn't revenge, it's a conscious response. When you respond with clarity and authenticity, rather than being led by emotion, you break the cycle of shadow projection. By refusing to become the victim of someone else's harm, you also protect your own dignity. This response relies not on outbursts, but on calmness and the power of truth.
So no matter how malicious they are, I can still preserve my dignity and power?
Absolutely. When you respond honestly and steadily, even if someone deliberately tries to hurt you, they cannot control your inner world. Jung calls this a quiet victory. You don't need their recognition or revenge. Your self-integrity and dignity are the greatest triumph. No betrayal can define your worth, and no harm can take away your innate dignity.
It sounds like this kind of healing isn't about forgetting, and it isn't about revenge, it's about taking control of your own reactions.
Exactly. The core of healing isn't making the pain disappear, but learning to see it clearly, understand it, and not let it control you. You start choosing your responses instead of being carried away by the emotions caused by the hurt. This is what Jung describes as true power. When you do this, you'll realize that those who tried to hurt you never truly had power over you in the first place.
Wow, it really feels like a door has opened. I feel like I can see an exit.
Yes. Everyone can take control of their psychological responses and heal their mind. Even if someone once deeply hurt you, you can still maintain dignity and wholeness, without being controlled by their shadow. When you learn to respond consciously rather than being swept away by emotion, your life truly becomes yours to steer.
So if I start noticing these shadow attacks, does that mean I can completely protect myself?
Not entirely, but awareness is the first and most crucial step. Jung emphasizes that noticing is just the beginning. You also need to understand how the shadow operates instead of being driven by it. For example, you may notice patterns where you're repeatedly betrayed or manipulated in relationships, or where the same type of harm keeps reappearing. This isn't random. It's your psyche unconsciously performing a corrective reenactment of unresolved trauma. In other words, your unconscious self-protection system is trying to give the story a conclusion, but without awareness, it just repeats the same pain.
So those strange cycles I've noticed in my past behavior actually have a logic behind them? How do I break that pattern?
Jung teaches that breaking the cycle requires conscious intervention. You need to face past wounds directly with awareness and reestablish a connection with them. This doesn't mean returning to your past self. It means acknowledging that those wounds existed in your life and allowing them to become part of your psychological integration. It's like having a scar. You can't remove it, but you can make it part of your story instead of a source of pain.
I'm a bit scared of this process. It feels like it's going to hurt.
Yes, it will hurt. Jung even said that true healing isn't about avoiding pain. It's about moving through it. Think of it like psychological strength training. Your inner muscles become stronger by facing the darkness. The pain will exist, but it no longer controls you. That's why many people feel fear when starting the healing process. They're afraid to face the darkness within themselves and the identity shaped by their trauma. But it's precisely through this process that you move toward wholeness.
So does that mean if I don't heal, I'll remain trapped in these cycles of hurt?
Exactly. Jung observed that unintegrated trauma tends to attract similar situations or people repeatedly. For example, if you've been betrayed before, you might unconsciously reenact the pattern of betrayal in different relationships. This isn't bad luck. It's your unconscious seeking a resolution for an unfinished story. But if you don't intervene consciously, it will just repeat, not heal.
Does Jung offer concrete methods to stop this cycle of recurring trauma?
Yes. Jung's integrative healing method can be broken into 3 deep stages. The first stage is conscious confrontation. You face your experiences fully, with emotion and presence, not just rational analysis or detached observation. This step marks the turning point where your self moves from avoidance toward integration, allowing you to start reclaiming psychological agency.
This sounds so profound. I imagine it's like telling yourself, I see you. I acknowledge you, right?
Exactly. The second stage is reclaiming the lost parts. Trauma doesn't just take away your sense of safety. It fractures your soul, stealing your original innocence, courage, trust, and expressive abilities. This stage is like psychological archaeology. You recover those hidden, suppressed, or split parts, bringing them back to life. Your inner child is seen again, dormant courage awakens, and the life force frozen by trauma starts flowing once more.
Wow, so the parts of myself I thought I lost in the past were actually still there, just ignored?
Absolutely. The third stage is symbolic integration, the most subtle and refined level. Integration isn't about rationalizing or glorifying the pain. It's about finding symbolic meaning. Jung calls this symbolic direction, an unconscious language that transforms painful experiences into an entry point for expanded consciousness. Once trauma is given symbolic significance, it's no longer just a destructive event. It becomes a force for the expansion of your mind and soul. Your wounds remain, but you gain wisdom, resilience, empathy, and insight from them.
This really makes my eyes open. It's like all past suffering can be redefined.
Exactly. Jung believed that healing isn't about going back, but transforming into a new psychological entity, more whole, authentic, and profound. Scars aren't flaws, they're marks of evolution. After symbolic integration, past trauma no longer hijacks your identity. It becomes part of your story. You still remember the pain, but it no longer makes decisions for you.
So, for those who intentionally hurt me before, their shadows, I don't need to pay attention to them at all anymore?
Correct. Their shadows can no longer control you. Jung teaches that true power comes from conscious response, not revenge. When you respond authentically, calmly, and clearly, you break the cycle of shadow projection. You're no longer their psychological puppet, nor do you need to let past harm define you. It's a quiet yet powerful victory they may not even realize they've lost.
It sounds like this is a kind of inner freedom. Is this the ultimate goal of healing?
Exactly. Healing isn't about eliminating pain. It's about making pain no longer the master. You can live fully with your wounds and cracks. Every choice you make is a step closer to your whole self. Jung said individuation, or psychological integration, is a lifelong journey requiring courage and awareness. Once achieved, pain is no longer the center of your identity. It becomes part of your freedom.
Wow, this really changes how I see betrayal, hurt, and even myself. It feels like all the pain I experienced was guiding me to reach this point today.
Exactly. Jung's wisdom reminds us that every hardship, every betrayal, is a trial of the soul. You no longer passively endure. You learn to respond consciously. You heal yourself and quietly show those who intentionally hurt you a kind of power. You are no longer their target. You are your whole self.
This makes me want to face the wounds I haven't addressed yet, instead of avoiding them.
That's Jung's core insight. Confront the darkness, integrate your shadow, and find symbolic meaning. You'll see that your scars no longer bleed. They glow. You see your own shadow without shame. You feel pain without being controlled by it. You start treating yourself and others with true compassion and wisdom.
So for anyone wanting to start the psychological journey, they can begin by observing themselves, noticing shadows, and responding consciously, right?
Exactly. The simplest way to start is through small, present-moment awareness. Observe your reactions in relationships. Notice the shadow projections behind emotions, and learn to respond with clarity and authenticity. Don't rush to eliminate the pain, and don't force revenge. True power lies in awareness, integration, and transformation.
Today's discussion is truly eye-opening. If you also find these insights worth sharing, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with those who might need it, so more people understand that betrayal and hurt don't define us. True power comes from within.
Exactly. Live with this awareness, and you'll discover that you are stronger and freer than you imagined. Pain is no longer a shackle, it's a path toward wholeness.